You are listening to the Connect With Us podcast from Connect English Community. The Connect With Us podcast is a fun conversation about all kinds of things that take place in and around our English learning community. We'll talk about different sides of the languages and cultures in which we live and learn every day. And we invite you to join us on this journey so that by connecting with us, we can encourage you along the way.
Connect with us, and we'll connect you to the world.
Welcome to the Connect With Us podcast. It's good to see you again. It's good to be with you again in this next episode. I hope you've been waiting for this one because this is going to be a good one. Mm-hmm. All right. So this is actually our 5th episode. And for today's episode, Ade is usually here. But today I have a beautiful friend with me. And I will let her have her introduce herself. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm Alicia. And I am an American expat living here in Indonesia for the past 8 years.
That's cool.
Yes. And so I am married and we have 4 children. And I have just followed my husband for his job. And I stay at home and work from there and teach my children.
All right. Wow. That's a lot of responsibilities.
Yes.
Yeah. But she's been doing a good job. All right. Okay. So as I told you earlier, that today is actually our 5th episode. But this is also part of a new series that we're going to start. Yeah. It's going to be fun. The series is called That's Different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Because it's a phrase I say often.
All right.
And maybe you do too.
Well, maybe I have never lived abroad before.
You just have a lot of friends though from away.
Yeah, she probably said it more often than I do. Okay, so what the series is about, you probably, questioning why is it going to be fun. So as you can see, I invited a foreign friend. So she's American and she's been living here for 8 years. So we're going to explore and enjoy the experiences. Some of them are just, funny, and some of them are really interesting. Some of them a little bit awkward.
Probably.
Okay? But then when it passes, it becomes funny, right?
Yes, it's a good story.
The series is going to be talking about differences and similarities that we have among cultures. But, especially in this podcast, actually, it's going to be American, not versus, and Indonesian,
yes,
right?
And, yes, we're not against each other.
No, we're not against each other. But I think before we go further, what I would like to point out is that actually most of this, I think, applied to majority like Indonesian or American,
right.
But maybe you will find some that are different, and that's okay. Yeah, because we are here in Bandar, Lampung, the south part of Sumatra Island. And Alicia, you're from which part of the U.S.?
I am from the south of the US.
South, yeah. So maybe even people from America think, that's not how we feel. That's okay, yeah. You might find that, and some of my friends from Java or from Kalimantan might think, no, it doesn't apply here, and that's okay. But this is where, in this city, where it all happened, and we're gonna talk about it, and hopefully it will give you some idea about learning language. Okay, so Alicia, when you are when you come to Indonesia, so did you decide to learn the language?
Yes, I felt like it was a good idea to learn the language because I wanted to be able to better communicate with people and to make friends. And so I know that a lot of Indonesians can speak a little bit of English because I hear it often when I'm out. Okay. But I wanted to be able to have like true friendship and to be able to get around on my own. And so I devoted the first year of us living in Indonesia to learning language.
Okay, I'm an English teacher, so I teach people English. I teach people Bahasa Indonesia too. One thing that I know for sure is that when you learn a language, to be able to use it, especially not theoretically or linguistically, but it's more like for everyday use.
Yes.
One thing that you cannot separate is you need to also learn the culture.
Yes.
Right? Is that the same thing for you, Alicia?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it was important. I think it helps me to understand some of the things in language better is when I know the culture, because it's almost like the background behind it all, behind the scenes. Yes. So it goes hand in hand.
One thing that I remember is when you were playing some sort of charade game. I remember you told me the story.
Yes.
So I think if I'm not mistaken, your teacher kept signaling. He's trying to sell mandi, which is translated kind of shower in English,
right? Take a bath.
Yes, take a bath.
So she's not wanting to use English. Yes. We're trying to keep using Bahasa. And so she just kept going. She kept, for those listening, it's like it looked like to me she was putting a hat on. And so I was like, put a hat on? And she looked at me like, what?
No.
Because that was so not even close. But for Americans, it would be like if I was going to show you shower, it would be like a sprinkling from above my head. Yes. And so I think the same thing might have happened to my husband with fishing.
Okay.
Because that is a totally different action.
Exactly.
Some it's just this.
Yeah, we use just a string and we put the bait in the end and then we just kind of dip it.
Right, and so that would be totally a culture thing that you need to know to understand.
To understand
both
why.
Of those, yes.
We gesture it that way.
Yes.
All right, anyway, there are more stories, correct?
Yes.
Because this series, we're going to explore a lot more stories. But today's episode is actually about food. It's going to be interesting. So anyway, talking about food, Alicia, so tell us some of the stories, differences that you have experienced before. Like, that when you're learning the culture and you said the phrase, that's different.
Yes. So to backtrack a little bit, I'm really glad actually someone taught me to say that phrase, because when we first encounter something that is different, it's usually not the word that comes to our mind. Yes. We are just honest and we think that's disgusting or that's weird.
That's weird, yes.
Things like that. So
why would you eat that?
Yeah, what? Why would you do it that way? So someone, before we even moved to Indonesia, taught me and my husband to say, that's different, which is a very honest, but not... It doesn't close people off. It doesn't separate you from the other person. Because if I were to say that's disgusting to someone who just gave me a dish that they grew up with and that they loved so much, it would maybe hurt their feelings. Yeah. So one of the times that I had a chance to practice saying that's different was actually when I was learning language for that first year. And I was really experiencing a lot of culture shock. So just all the different sights and smells and the heat and the noise. And then the language, I'm just every day doing the language. And sometimes you can just feel homesick. And so there are things you miss. And my teacher during one class said, hey, we have some cheesecake in the back. And I was like, are you kidding me? Yes, I would love some cheesecake. And I had already shown my excitement for it. So I can't change that opinion. So I'm going to their back little rest area, staff area. And they had a little cake pan set out. And as I walked closer to it, all the joy kind of went away, because I realized what they were saying was literally it was cheesecake. It was cake with cheese on top, shredded cheese. And so,
my goodness,
I don't know exactly what my face looked like. I would like to think I was like, good.
Oh my goodness.
good. Yeah. And they're like, okay, so you ready? Because I had been so excited. So I'm like, just a small piece. Yeah. A little piece.
Okay.
And so I still ate it. And I was like, because in America, cheese is not a dessert. It is not. That is the one big difference there. It's just not a dessert.
It's very interesting though, because many Indonesian desserts actually has cheese in it.
It's like a topping.
It's a topping, and they melt it. And I guess sometimes what we call cheese a little different what you call cheese, right?
So my thought of cheesecake was a cream cheese.
Yes.
And it's different.
Yes,
but now Starbucks has it. It's fine. And then Indonesians, I've tasted Indonesians who have made the cheesecake. My idea of cheesecake, and it's good. So
at that moment, did you remember if you actually said that's different, or
it was more my reaction was just communicating that, not I think I might have said that cheesecake, like
to literally explain it to you.
I see. Okay, I'll take a piece, and I still ate a piece of cheesecake. Just because I hadn't tried that before, actually. Okay. So sometimes you think that's disgusting, but then you try it and you're like, oh, wait.
It wasn't
that was not so bad.
Yeah.
But not. Okay. I prefer the other cheesecake.
Hey, that's what you like. That's okay. So, so the concept, actually, one thing that often I heard from other native speakers, the concept, I guess this is not just in Indonesia, but also Asia, I think. So the idea, so speaking of food, the idea of talking about eating the whole parts of chicken. Maybe beef, like cow or the whole chicken. So, like liver and gizzard.
Yes.
So a friend of mine visited, I think it was in central part of Java, and he was invited to, it was like a big holiday celebration. It's Idul Fitri, so they have like a curry and the rice cake, so they put it in a bowl, and he was so excited. And then it was self-service, so he started to put the rice cake in the bowl, and he started to scoop some of the curry, and he picked one that appeared to be like a drumstick.
Okay.
A drumstick, So he's not a fan of that part. That's not his favorite, but it's still good.
Yeah.
So he picked it, he put it in his bowl, and then when he put it in his mouth, that drumstick, it was not soft, or it was not tender.
Oh.
It was hard.
Oh my! What is this? What was it?
Can you actually guess?
I don't know.
It was the head.
Oh.
It was chicken head. So usually in Indonesia, they cut like a little bit part of the neck and the head. So it kind of looked like
it does.
Drumstick, right?
Yeah. How do you eat that?
So I didn't know. I didn't remember if he said, or that's different.
Right.
I remember he said that he was a little bit shocked.
Yes.
Because he did not see that coming.
No. I mean, it's like when you're expecting something and it all of a sudden changes. It is very shocking. Yeah.
Kind of like when you're in a cheesecake.
Yes.
Yeah? So you expect something and then
it's not that. Yeah.
Just different. So do you have experience? What do you think about that? Like, what is the difference, like in America and Indonesia about eating the whole part of chicken?
Okay, so usually, of course, here in Indonesia, you have KFC. So I feel like the parts of the chicken that we on average eat.
Yes.
However, I have heard stories from like my parents and just their family, like way back when, and my in-laws, their family, and especially for families who had big families, that you still ate all you could of the chicken or whatever it was, an animal, so that you could get all you could out of it. And then just some family sibling arguments about who gets what, and just that quick grab, you have to be quick to get it. But actually, it wasn't too uncommon for people, especially if they were just poor or just didn't have as much money to eat just everything you could from the chicken.
Okay.
But then you have like my children who, get really picky about, oh, what is that? What is this? So they're very just, children don't really hide their emotions like
That's true.
Or what they're thinking. So
okay. All right. So another story that I remember is like this is quite interesting, I think, just because how different it is.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite fruit is avocado. Do you like avocado?
Oh yes, I love avocado.
Okay. So tell the story.
Okay, so
avocado here in
I
Indonesia.
love avocado, but I have eaten it a little bit of a different way growing up. As a kid, I didn't love it because it's green, it's mushy,
that's
not
true.
your favorite thing. But as I grew older and started having, we would go to Mexican restaurants. Avocado is used as like a dip, and so it's chopped up and mixed with tomato, salt, lime, cilantro, things like that. All that kind
Sometimes
of flavor.
They add like a shallot or onion, right?
Onions. Oh yes. So when I came to Indonesia, this was actually before we moved here. My husband and I came for just a summer trip, and that was quite the culture shock for me because that was actually the first time I had been to Indonesia for that length of time. So not like vacation, everything's fun, but more like we're here, we gotta be happy about it. So there were times I was just hot and sweaty and I couldn't escape it and I just wanted something refreshing. And so I went to a warung and they had, I don't have an English word for that, so I went to a warung and they were selling what looked like this milkshake of sorts. It looked delicious. It had chocolate swirls in it.
Yes.
And so I asked my husband, I'd like to have one of those because he could speak a little bit more Bahasa than I couldn't speak any. So he's like, do you know what that is? I'm like, I don't know. It looks delicious. And so he was like, that's avocado. I was like, I'm sorry? Come again? So it was avocado. Of course, you know this beverage. Avocado mixed with
delicious
sweetened condensed milk, if I'm not mistaken.
Chocolate, yes.
Chocolate. Is there anything else? I think that
usually
might
sugar.
Yeah, some kind of
has
sugar
in it and ice,
But in my mind, I have never mixed avocado with anything sweet. So I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know about this. But then I was also desperate because it did look refreshing. And so I tried it. And that was one of those times where I was like, wow. That's different.
Yes.
But also, I'm okay with this.
Wasn't bad at all.
It wasn't. So what about, you've tried guacamole. Which is the dip.
Yes. I remember it was back in 2009 or 10, I guess. And I had several friends that are from America. They missed, they have like, they lived here for about 2 years, so they started to feel like homesick, I mean, I think one of them actually from Texas.
Okay.
So she's you're too, right?
Yes.
So very familiar with Tex-Mex or Mexican food. It's something that's very common to them. They enjoy it.
Delicious.
And that day they just decided to invite us for a Mexican fiesta. They call it Mexican fiesta. We watch movie, like I think if I'm not mistaken, Nacho Libre.
Okay.
At that time it's funny. It's comedy, and they serve this. Just adapted. It's just kind of like a version of Mexican snacks. So if I'm not mistaken, they made taco and nachos.
Okay.
So local corn chips. But for the dip, they have made guacamole. And at first, I remember I actually helped a little bit with, when they fixing, when they're preparing. So they had a avocado tree behind their house, the house that they live while they're here.
Yeah.
So they, I helped just kind of, picked it up and then just, just to scrape it and then,
mash it.
And I thought we're going to make like avocado juice or something, or the avocado milkshake that Alicia mentioned earlier. But then Becca, that's her name, said that, hey, no, like just put it in the bowl. And I was like, bowl? But, I followed the instructions, so she put it in the bowl. And then she started to add salt. And I was like, maybe just to add, like different flavor. And then lime. And then pepper.
Right. You're like, whoa.
But I'm actually more of a person, like I usually not, how do you say, like
expressive?
Yes. I'm more like, okay, I'll see. So anyway, I started to see, and then she started to add the onion and then the tomatoes, and then she mixed it and she put it on the table. And I was like, Becca, what is that? It's guacamole. Come again?
Yes.
So she told me about the story, and she said, just try. So I picked one corn chips, and which I'm pretty used to. So I dip it to the guacamole, and I tasted, and I was like, I tried my best to swallow it, just because it tastes so different. At that time, actually, for me, it was harder because, once again, my brain, when I think of avocado, it's always sweet.
Right. So same, but just different. Yeah, flip-flop.
The opposite. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, but then I love guacamole now. I love guacamole.
Okay.
I love that. So yes, I could finish like the whole bowl. So it takes time, but I do like it now.
That's cool.
Very interesting. Yes. All right. So how do you usually do you have other stories? Actually, I wanted to hear more stories. Could you maybe remember other stories about food?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. I do know mayonnaise. Oh, that's one that comes to my mind.
Wow.
That's used a lot here.
Okay. Yes.
I don't have specific examples other than I know it's been in sushi before, and I've had to ask no mayonnaise.
No, don't add that.
Which actually, in the States, I don't usually like to have mayonnaise. Just a little, but I don't like globs of it. And so to have a lot of mayonnaise and in places I wasn't expecting, that is another difference. I'm trying to think. Have I told you other stories?
Well, I just actually think about, this is from a friend. So I think they were having Thanksgiving, and of course he was teaching here. I think it was on Java, if I'm not mistaken. So they are celebrating with his friends, American friends here, and they are making just some things, that they have here that's similar to what they have in America. And one of them is actually sweet potato pie. Okay. So he was planning to make that because Indonesia, it's sweet potato. Yeah. We have sweet potato here. Yeah. So he thought, I'll make this, and then he checked the ingredients. Some of them he might need to go to supermarket, import supermarket to get it. But he had asked his cleaning lady, I think it's the lady that comes helping around the house, to buy some sweet potatoes. Okay. And this lady is very nice, and she always does a good job, So when she came back from the market carrying sweet potato, and he was so excited to start peeling it, and he was so shocked because it looked purple.
Not orange.
Oh, not orange. And again, that's he just finally, I couldn't remember actually how it ended up, whether he went to get another one or just
dealt with it.
Yeah. But
did it taste the same?
Shocked.
But it tasted the same.
It does.
It's just not the color.
The color of fall. That's not the color of Thanksgiving.
Or just not the pie. You're like, purple pie.
Purple pie.
I do know that it wasn't different in that I was put off by it or that's disgusting. But the amount of rice.
Yes.
Here.
Yes.
It is laughable now because when my husband and I go back to the States.
Okay.
When you would laugh too if you saw it. The rice aisle. No, not aisle. No, we don't have a whole aisle. Let me change my sentence. The rice section of an aisle are these tiny little bags. I think it would be one portion size for one Indonesian.
Goodness.
Honestly. And it's just this little, because when Americans eat rice, it's like this little side portion on your plate. It doesn't take up much. And so I always love when Americans come to visit. And 'cause my husband and I are used to the rice now. We just pile it on like everybody else.
Like
fill your plate.
Else.
But then all the new timers will come and just put like just one little plop.
Yes.
And then it doesn't have any flavor. You know, it's just white rice, no butter, no flavoring.
No.
And so to watch how I probably used to be, I get to see that difference of, it's different how you eat rice.
Yes.
Because we love bread.
And that's another different thing.
Yeah.
I have noticed, I've like compared, and I've heard this from some American friends, that our bread always, well, I shouldn't say always, but almost always has sugar in it.
Yes.
Tell me about, like, what do you think about Indonesian bread, Alicia?
Well, sometimes it'll surprise me because there's bread and it has something in it too. Like one time I just wanted rolls, like little balls of bread, because that's very common with Americans. They eat, even when you go to a restaurant, you're waiting on the food, they bring a basket of rolls, bread, and then you eat it all. And then they're like, you want more? And we're like, yeah, we want more. Silly question. Yeah. So I wanted that with my food, whatever it was that day. And so I bought it and I brought it home. It looked exactly like it. So it looked like a roll. And then I started cutting them open. And I don't know exactly. I think it might have been that bean filling.
Oh, okay.
The bean filling. Yes. That. Which was also a new thing I tried. But anyway, so there's the filling in the bread. But then, there's always sometimes a sprinkling of sugar on the top. I'm like, no.
even local made, like, you know, like at the local pizza place.
Oh, right.
The dough is sweet.
Yeah. So it's like pizza dessert.
Yes. I guess you can call it pizza dessert. It still has the tomato sauce, which is, you know,
also,
speaking of sauce, earlier we were just brainstorming ideas, and I think we came up with also spaghetti dessert, right?
Yes, because spaghetti sauce has sugar. So that's all different.
Very different.
But I love pizza here now. I mean, it's been so long since I've had pizza in America. I'm like, it tastes just like it.
This is Indonesian pizza, and that's how we have it.
Until Americans visit, and they're like, no, this is not the same.
It takes time.
Yeah, just give it time. You'll be drinking avocado milkshake. You'll be eating bean in your bread.
I remember the girls, after a while, they also like the avocado, you know, milkshake. And whenever they order it, and I was like, I thought you think it's you. And they would say, no, I didn't say you. I say different.
Different.
Yes, just different. Okay, so Alicia, with all the differences, like, I mean, I'm sure you found similarities, but when you deal with differences, how do you usually, I mean, obviously you were taught to say that's different. But like in your mind, just to help you deal with it. What do you usually do?
So usually I just try to remember that let's say for Indonesians, this is a delicious meal. It reminds them of home. Bakso, that was another thing I tried.
Meatball,
I, didn't love it maybe as much as an Indonesian, but then I remember reading an Indonesian speak about bakso, and it was like this, it's like home. And so I thought, so this is like, even if I don't love it, I do want to remember that, I mean, it's popular for a reason. I am in a different culture. It's not going to be the same. And so it's just not good for, let's say, bridging a gap. Like, I want us to be closer, whoever I'm in a conversation with or hanging out with. I want there to be this closeness, and there won't be if I'm just not up for trying new things, or at least, saying something nice and honest about it, not rude and, but just saying, wow, this is different. I haven't had something like this before. So I feel like it helps to try those things and to ask about it. I mean, you might not love it, like guacamole or cheese on your fried bananas, things like that.
Yes, it has that here.
You might not love it, but then it does open the doors for conversation. Like, oh, is this something you love?
Yes.
What is your favorite dish here? So I think it brings people closer.
Yes. I actually read an article today, like how to cope or to deal with, when you're finding when you find this kind of challenge. And that's actually one that is mentioned is to ask questions. It's okay. Obviously, you need to ask politely, nicely. And another thing that's very interesting, I think, is to let go of expectation.
Yes.
I think it might help you to put you at ease, right?
Yes.
Just to not to expect avocado to always be sweet.
Right.
That's for me.
That's for you. Wait, what? No. Yes.
Yes. So again, you told us about how you deal with it, and but I'm really curious. You said you have 4 children. Okay, let's talk about how, like, did they have chance sometimes to try things that are different here?
Oh,
how
yes.
do they usually?
They have had many opportunities. If there is something after church, they have the boxed food with all the little things inside of it. We were just at a wedding the other day, and it had a lot of different things.
Interesting.
Which was interesting because at a wedding in the States, you would definitely find a cake, some tall cake. But there wasn't a cake at all, and it was just a lot of little bitty,
small things,
little treats.
Yes.
And my kids have gotten better. It's you have to learn. It's a growing process, maturing process.
That's right.
So they are better at trying. And sometimes we have to sort of like give them a little push, like, if you try it, we'll go to McDonald's. That's our comfort food. Anyway, they'll try it because I'll say, you don't know. And this is true for the food that I've always been raised on. You don't know if you like it or not until you try it.
Actually try it.
And I am okay if they don't like it. I am not going to force feed them food they don't want. But I do want them to start having that attitude of, I will try it. And so they did a really good job recently at the wedding, just trying things I wasn't expecting them to. And my 2-year-old actually apparently loves pempet.
Oh no! So
not the spicy, just
the cake. Yeah, okay, without the sauce.
Right,
okay.
because the spicy is still something they have to get used to. But the pempet, he was like, just kept going.
Wow.
Yeah.
So. I don't know what to bring when I come to your house.
Yes, we can share it together.
When I visit, yes. Yeah, I think even with kids here in Indonesia, spicy is also like, they take it, slowly. Yeah, it is still a challenge for, everywhere, I think.
Yeah, and now my kids are up for trying the spicy stuff because we just make it this like fun challenge. Like, so recently they took a bite of a chabe. Like they bit a chabe. I don't even do that. I'm like, what? And then they'll use the sambal sauce.
Okay.
So anyway, it's just a process, but my husband and I are always trying to encourage the just try attitude. Just try it.
I guess that's always going to be part of life, but then especially when you live abroad, you live in your second, third language, right? So you are acquiring the culture, you are acquiring the language, and it's gonna be always happen. So make sure you stay tuned because we're gonna talk about a lot more things. Today it's only food related. Next episode,
are you hungry now? I'm hungry.
We're going on to this. Pempek sounds very good. By the way, pempek is a fish cake. It's made from fish, meat, and some flour mixed together, and they added some seasoning just to give you reference in case you've never tried it before. But it's delicious. Some people might say fish, different. That's different.
It is.
But it's amazing. I think it's safe to say that Alicia is enjoying things that are different. Even the opportunities to try it. And I must say I enjoy that too. I'm not always good in trying something new, but I've been enjoying it. All right, so we would like to invite you to again, join us in the next episode of That's Different. Yeah. And thank you for stay tuned and listening until we finish in this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and that little bell, don't forget. Yeah, don't leave it. Yeah, it's a cute bell. Don't forget to click it for you to get notification. All right. And we'll see you again in the next episode of Connect with us, and we'll connect you to the world.
Connect with us, and we'll connect you to the world.